Hey class, so this is just my last um, way to support you in your literature review writing process. This is what we came together and created on Monday, March 27th. I just wanted to show you how it would look if it was in official literature review formatting. So the first thing I did is I double clicked here and I typed the title of my literature review. I also inserted the page number, and the way that I did that is by going to insert page numbers and making sure that it said top of page right. Then I put my name. Well, we all wrote it, so our names collectively are English 121. And then we have our incredible intro. So let's take a look. Social media activism is believed to be an effective tool to collaborate millions of voices into one powerful movement. Social media enables many to interact through messages to provide credible information that inspires activism movements. In the article, hashtag activism isn't a cop out, Berlatsky argues that social media can be used to connect protesters to form an active movement. I would get rid of active. Movement is active. Um, in the article, The Case for Social Media and Hashtag Activism, Connie Barra argues that social media is the fastest route to bring attention to issues and connect a large variety of people with a common idea. So this is the they say, right? And then we have another sentence for the they say. Many people believe that social media is a place for true activism. And then here is where we shift to what our position is. In fact, social media activism is ineffective. That's our position. And then our reasons for having this position are because it does not mobilize users, but instead convinces them that stating their opinion on current events is enough. So what I want to mention here is this statement I got from the claim statements that we created. So at first, the thesis statement was just, in fact, social media activism is ineffective. After writing the entire lit review, I figured out what the reasons were for having my position. So that's an important thing for you to know. Then we have social media allows users to voice their opinion without any real action. So that's the first paragraph's claim. And you'll see that this claim is supporting my position that social media activism is ineffective. So I give the claim topic sentence, and then I go straight into citation of a quote from a source and then evaluation. So let's take a look. According to Shonda Rhimes, an ABC television executive and an activist herself, a hashtag is not a movement. So one thing I wanted you to see here is some of you were asking, how am I supposed to incorporate biographical data? And you can do it just like this, where after you give the name of the person, you give a little summary of who they are. And that counts as you talking about their credibility. A hashtag is not a movement. A hashtag does not make you Dr. King. A hashtag does not change anything. It's a hashtag. It's you sitting on your butt, typing into your computer, and then going back to binge watching your favorite show. And then because this is coming from Khan Ibarra's piece, the way that you quote it would be as cited in Khan Ibarra 2014. Then what I do is I continue to explain this quote. I write, though Shonda Rhimes is not an activist scholar, her claim is supported by history. So what I'm doing is I'm showing that she's clearly trying to argue that hashtags do not create change, and the way she supports it is by using history from Dr. King and Malcolm X. So in other words, I am evaluating by simply noting the kind of evidence she uses to support her claim. In fact, it is true Dr. King did not have social media, and because of this was forced to do more than just state his opinion. He was forced to act on it. Now, what this sentence is doing is it is taking this quote and explaining how it is related to my original topic sentence. Then I go on to connect to another article. Though DeRay McKesson cites social media activism as a democratic process that allows for everyone to act, he doesn't provide any examples beyond protests in Missouri. And again, it's indirect, so I have the parenthetical as such. Actually, they both should be lowercase. I'm sorry about that. Okay, Additionally, McKesson is a social media activist, so it would make sense that he saw social media as a positive way to create change. Again, this is me evaluating by pointing out some credibility issues or some biasness issues in his statement. Then I quote him some more. I put, he cites social media as community building, manifestation of love, and then goes on to mention Twitter has kept us honest, but again goes no further than Missouri's protests to support these claims. Missouri might be the exception to the rule and not the rule itself. So again, I'm pointing out why what he's saying is irrelevant, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to prove that social media is ineffective for activism. So then I have my next claim. Social media is the main tool used by activists, but in many cases it does not mobilize activists in an organized way. So the next thing I'm trying to prove is social media activism is not organized and it doesn't mobilize activists. And so again, this will help me prove my original thesis that social media activism is ineffective. DeRay McKesson notes Missouri as a true moment of social media activism success. However, according to news coverage, the Missouri protests were riddled with violence, unclear starting times, and an unclear message. McKesson writes the event exists in the tradition of protest and that what made it different was that it began with regular people. However, in order to organize and create change, there needs to be a singular person or group that takes charge of organizing a protest and the group's message. Otherwise, these activists can do more harm than good. So you'll see most of what I'm doing here is destroying what McKesson is saying by incorporating, here I'm incorporating news coverage, right, which is something you can do as well. You can say, well, the facts point to something different than what this source says. Hopefully you could support this by using an additional source, right? It would be nice if here I had news coverage, like an article that showed that these protests were problematic. But again, you're seeing that I am able to build a whole entire lit review that is actually the opposite of what the articles are talking about. And the way that I do that is by evaluating these two articles to prove that their points are wrong. Or take, for instance, with Shonda Rhimes, even though Ibarra is trying to tell us that social media is great, I pick on the part where she mentions Shonda Rhimes to further my own specific argument. So again, this is sort of what you can do for your literature review. You'll notice I'm not even done with this paragraph and I've already hit the 2.5 page mark, or rather the 1.5 page mark. Just a quick heads up, you should be establishing, for example, if this is you, I would rather have another body paragraph developed here. I do not want more than a 2-sentence conclusion. Any questions, feel free to email. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to seeing your lit reviews at 11:59 tonight.